8 signs you're easier to manipulate than most people. Hey Oddlies, so there's a specific type of person that manipulators look for before they even say a single word. And the scary part is it has nothing to do with how smart you are. You could be the most intelligent person in the room and still be incredibly easy to manipulate. A couple of researchers at UC Berkeley actually found that people with higher empathy scores were significantly more likely to comply with requests they initially disagreed with, simply because they could feel the other person's disappointment. Your intelligence doesn't protect you from this. Your emotional wiring does. And there's a good chance you have no idea what your wiring actually looks like. Here are the signs. Number 1. You hate conflict more than you hate being wrong. You probably think you avoid conflict because you're peaceful or mature. But there's a difference between choosing peace and being terrified of tension. If someone pushes back on something you said and your first instinct is to back down just to make the discomfort stop, that's not open-mindedness. That's a trained response. Psychologists call this conflict apprehension, and studies show it develops most strongly in people who grew up in unpredictable households where keeping the peace was genuinely the safest strategy. Your nervous system learned that tension equals danger. So now, even in situations where there is no real danger, your body is still trying to end the discomfort as fast as possible. And manipulators can feel that about you. The moment they realize you'll fold under social pressure, you stop being someone they have a conversation with and start being someone they manage. Number 2, you need people to think well of you. This one is uncomfortable because it probably applies to you more than you'd like to admit. Sociometer theory, developed by psychologist Mark Leary, suggests that self-esteem isn't really about how you feel about yourself in private. It's actually a gauge your brain uses to monitor how accepted you are by the people around you, which means your sense of self-worth might be almost entirely dependent on external feedback without you even realizing it. If the idea of someone being disappointed in you feels unbearable, if you've done things you didn't actually want to do just so someone wouldn't think badly of you, that's the door manipulators walk straight through. They don't need to threaten you. They just need to imply they're losing respect for you. And that alone is enough to change your behavior. Number 3, you explain yourself too much. Pay attention to what happens the next time someone questions one of your decisions. A healthy response is to explain your reasoning once and let it stand. But if you find yourself going back and forth, adding more context, trying to make them understand until they agree, that's a sign you need their validation to feel okay about your own choices. There's actually a name for this in psychology. It's called justification pressure. And it's been studied in negotiation contexts where one party keeps offering more information even when no one asked for it, essentially volunteering their own weaknesses. Once someone figures out that this is how you operate, all they have to do is withhold agreement until you do what they want. Number 4, you assume people mean well. This is genuinely one of the kindest things about you. It is also one of the most exploited. Robert Cialdini, who wrote one of the most cited books on influence ever published, found that trust given freely up front is the single most powerful accelerant for compliance. When you give everyone the benefit of the doubt automatically, without making them earn it first, you remove the one thing that would normally slow down a manipulator, which is suspicion. They get access to your trust before they've done anything to deserve it. And by the time you realize something is off, they've already been inside that trust long enough to use it. Here's the interesting part, though. You're not naive for being this way. Research actually shows that people who assume positive intent tend to have stronger social networks and better mental health outcomes than people who are naturally suspicious. So this part of you genuinely serves you in most situations. It just creates a specific blind spot in the rare situations where someone is actually trying to take advantage of it. Number 5, you feel responsible for other people's emotions. When someone around you is upset, do you immediately feel like it's somehow your job to fix it, even when you had nothing to do with causing it? That low-level guilt that shows up the moment someone near you is uncomfortable has a name. It's called emotional hyper-responsibility, and it's incredibly common in people who grew up as the caretaker in their family. Maybe you were the one who could always sense when a parent was stressed and quietly tried to lighten the mood. Maybe you learned early that the emotional state of the people around you was somehow connected to something you did or didn't do. That connection doesn't disappear when you become an adult. It just finds new people to attach itself to. And a manipulator doesn't even need to accuse you of anything. They just have to seem hurt. And you'll start adjusting your behavior to make their discomfort go away, sometimes without even noticing you're doing it. Number 6, you apologize before you've figured out whether you actually did anything wrong. Start paying attention to when you say sorry. Is it a genuine acknowledgement of something you did? Or is it a reflex to reduce tension in the room? Studies have shown that people with a low threshold for what counts as an offense worth apologizing for will apologize almost automatically, not because they did more things wrong, but because they were raised in environments where keeping harmony required constant self-correction. And the problem with that reflex is what it signals to other people. When you apologize before thinking, you're showing everyone around you that you'll take the blame to keep the peace. That is genuinely useful information for someone who wants to avoid accountability themselves. Number 7, you trust consistency over pattern. This one catches a lot of smart people, and it might catch you too. Manipulative people are often incredibly consistent in how they present themselves. They show up on time. They follow through on small things. They build a track record that feels solid and reliable. And because of that surface-level consistency, you end up ignoring the pattern underneath, which is that they're only consistent when it benefits them. There's a concept in behavioral psychology called intermittent reinforcement, where a reward is given sometimes, but not always. And research consistently shows that unpredictable rewards create stronger attachment than consistent ones. It's the same mechanism that makes gambling addictive, and it's the same mechanism that keeps you loyal to someone who treats you well most of the time, and poorly just enough to keep you working for the good version of them. Number 8, you give second chances based on how someone makes you feel instead of what they've actually shown you. When someone hurts you or lets you down, your brain does something interesting. It goes looking for reasons to forgive them. Not because forgiveness is wrong, but because holding on to conflict is genuinely painful and your brain wants to resolve it fast. The problem is that you're probably forgiving people based on how remorseful they seem in the moment, rather than whether anything has actually changed about how they behave. And seeming remorseful is one of the easiest things in the world to perform. Real change has evidence. It shows up in behavior over time, not in a single conversation that made you feel understood and then went back to exactly the same pattern as before. The truth is, none of this makes you weak. Most of these things came from somewhere real in your life, from learning to keep the peace because it was safer, from figuring out early that your needs were negotiable, from being someone who actually cares how the people around you feel. That's not a flaw in you. But the research is pretty clear that awareness is the first and most important layer of protection you have. You can't change a reflex you don't know you have. And just recognizing these patterns in yourself is the thing that starts to make you harder to reach. If you want to watch more videos like this, subscribe, and we'll see each other in the next one.